Everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live. If you're just now tuning in, today we're doing all new Adobe Express content for the all new Adobe Express, which just launched today. My name is Terry White, worldwide designer and photography evangelist here at Adobe, mostly photography these days. But it's my pleasure to host the one and only Lucas.
Thanks, Terry.
So Lucas, tell us about you. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from Toronto, Canada, just outside of there, and I am a content creator, social media strategist, and also adding into that, a grade 8 elementary school teacher.
Wow.
So whether it is teaching people...
I have much respect for teachers.
Thank you very much. A lot of overlapping skills in what I'm doing here, surprisingly,
awesome.
Right? So whether it is teaching small business owners how to create content to get their brand out there, or just teaching 14-year-olds how to use media projects to really just find that spark for design and make their classroom experience a little bit more interesting.
What's your most rewarding thing about being a teacher?
Definitely. So we're the homeroom system in Toronto. So I have the same 30 kids, and when you have a great group, you can really just connect with them for a whole year's span. So just seeing the growth from September all the way to June, where everybody comes from, is
That's
really
nice.
it. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So Lucas, we're here to look at Express today. I understand you've used it once or twice.
Fair few times.
Okay,
Yeah.
a few times. So what are we going to be doing today?
Yeah, so the story we're looking at today is fictional, but my friend VJ and I, we've discussed the idea of having a podcast together.
Okay.
And we've always thought about, well, if we were to create a podcast, we would really want to leverage our two audiences. So we're both very active on LinkedIn, active on Instagram. We've really built up those platforms for ourselves. So we want to think of a nice, easy, collaborative way to combine our content, whether it's his style or my style, and also so one of us doesn't fall into the role of doing all the content creating or all the designing. We want to be able to both collaborate and both add our insights to it and our own touch to the design. VJ is very proficient in Adobe Illustrator. I'm very proficient, or I prefer Adobe Express.
Okay.
So we're going to look at some easy ways that we can really just cross over the great content he's designed and give me a super easy way to add my own touch to it.
This has nothing to do with any of that, but I'm just going to put you on the spot. What's your favorite new Express feature?
I am loving the animations.
Okay.
And I love the pop that comes out. I use that for so many Instagram stories and things like that.
We talked about that, yes.
Pop
the
is
last
fun.
episode, yeah.
And being able to change the intensity and whatnot too is great.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, walk us through it.
Yeah, let's go with it. So VJ has already designed some awesome carousel posts. So I love carousels on Instagram, really all social media platforms. They're great on LinkedIn too, because it's really like that swipe deck, right? You can actually take someone along for that engaged journey, right? In a world where everybody's just swiping up and down, skipping past, right? You get seconds to grab their attention. If you can lock them into a post like this, where you can really just take them along for the journey. We're looking at one slide for here, right? Each. We got some nice seamless from one slide to the next.
In Instagram, how many frames do you get per carousel?
You can go up to 10.
10.
You can go up to 10. I believe LinkedIn, I don't know if they have a limit because I've seen some huge PDF decks on LinkedIn.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is something that VJ has already designed and he's used for his own content. And our goal here...
And that is in Illustrator.
This is an Illustrator. That's his bread and butter. The goal here is that we're going to use this topic that he's already spoken about. He's made a carousel about it in the past. We're going to make this our first podcast episode. So rather than just posting a still graphic of, here's the episode, go check it out. I will show how to make one of those if we have time, because I do like that. I do like to really just take that user on for that experience of, here's a real deep dive of what the podcast episode will be about. We have 10 slides of your attention, 8 slides. But if you like what you're seeing here, you're going to like the podcast episode. You want to go that extra level. So this is something that VJ's already created, and I'm going to pop it into Express so I can apply my elements and my brand touch to it. Because as you can see, it's very focused on him right now. So let's go ahead and do that. So right away, I'm just going to go ahead, start from content, because that is what we are dealing with. And we're going to go ahead and find that file that VJ shared with me.
So you're looking for the native Illustrator file right now?
Yes.
Okay.
And that is what it is. So he shared it with me, connecting Instagram. Let's go ahead and pop it in there. And what it's doing right now is just turning all the Illustrator elements into a template that I can work with, edit, and really manipulate and change anything I want, all in Express. So that's going to be, like we said, my comfort zone. It's going to be Express, and now I'm getting an option to do that without having to bug him, nudge him, and say, hey, VJ, I need you to go ahead and fix this. I need you to go ahead and add this.
And there isn't a designer in the world who hasn't had a client that wants to make 50 tweaks a day, and they would just love to just hand it to them without handing them the native files and say, tweak away.
Right? Hey, how about you give it a shot this
That's
time,
what Express
right?
is for.
And it's cool to see all the different things it does. Like it adds the brand, you can add the layers, you're adding the text, the images. It's really gonna put everything in there. So it's an editable document, and that's what's really awesome about it. And like we said, it's gonna, in a moment, it's gonna say, here's your Express file, and this is now gonna be a template that I can use really whenever I want, and I can access that piece of content. So it's really neat to see. There we go, connecting, opening in editor. We're gonna give it a second, as it was a bit content heavy, it has a lot of text in there. So we're gonna populate that. So
But
we can really
again,
just take a look.
converting that Illustrator file, native file, into an Express document that mere mortals can go in.
Yeah,
and
I
work
can go
on,
in and
right.
fix. And the really cool thing was,
It converted it to pages.
and that's what's amazing, right?
Now, were those artboards in Illustrator?
They were all 10 artboards.
Artboards, okay.
Yep. And that's what's really cool is it's going to take a sec to load, like you said, because they're like this isn't just one single graphic, right? Not
Right,
one single
that's
slide.
10
this
technically
is 10 pages
files, right.
that I'm going to go ahead and work with in here. So we're going to go ahead and take a peek as it does do that, populating some of his. He did some nice gradient text. And what's awesome about this is it recognizes. Okay,
All of that,
he put in
yeah.
text. That is text.
You're a brave man to take a file that complex.
But there it is. Look at that,
and
right?
bring it into Express
So-
on day one of release.
But there it is. It's grouped. I'm moving all of his text, right? I'm lining it up, and I'm going to show you some fun things that I can do with it. But like I said, I love how it picks up on something's an image. Let's make it an image. Like I said with carousels, I love having that seamless from one slide to the next, right? Something that he's very strong at doing. So now if you look at this little tip of that one there, go ahead and pop over. It recognized that, right? And I can have that nice seamless blend. This is huge for carousels for me because you have that advantage. You have that person on that swipeable journey, right? Keep them on it. Use them
Very
most.
cool.
So we see some really cool things like people even cross over images and whatnot, which is awesome.
So I have someone saying, well, if I can't afford, for my situation, I can't afford to use Adobe's tools, what can I do? And to answer that, this is free. We can all afford free. So this is free to use. You don't have to be a paid member to use Express.
And that's exactly it. I use it for my business, and I use it in my classroom too. My students are becoming very proficient in Express, which is awesome, right? So I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm gonna make it just matching both our brands. So he already gave me, he gave me the mold, he gave me the template. I'm adding in super easily, copying and pasting. You asked me my new favorite feature. I actually think I should have mentioned the grids, because I do love the grid system.
So show that, because that is new as of today.
So just being, the guidelines.
Guides,
yes.
okay, smart.
Being able
Smart
to
guy.
just, it's lining up everything.
Yep.
I'm seeing that it's perfectly in line. I'm seeing if I'm a little bit off sway from what he put. And again, he laid the foundation for me, right? His design is what I'm really working with here. So I want to make sure I'm respecting his work. And I'm going to go ahead and just, line up my brand there. Oh, we don't want caps.
So Kaylin's asking, is this going to stay up afterwards indefinitely? Indefinitely is a really, really long time. I can't promise for the rest of your life, but yes, this replay will be up as long as the world doesn't change it in some way that we can't have it show up forever.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's no intent to take it down, let's put it that way. So yes, you'll be able to watch this later. To answer the question.
Thing I love to do too, make it really easy for collaboration. We can pop in a nice brand kit, right? So me and him did some collaboration.
Now explain for those of you, because a lot of new people that haven't used Express, what's a brand kit?
My brand kit, sorry, I'm just offline here. Let me just refresh. My internet connection might be having some trouble there, but that's okay. So brand kit is what basically allows me to pre-populate all the elements that he and I are going to be using, right?
So while we're waiting on yours to come back, we can switch to mine.
Yep.
While you talk, I'll show.
Sounds good. So really when you are loading in a brand, whatever you think you're going to be working with, your fonts, your logo, some files that you regularly access and are going to be using, you can go ahead and pop that in there, which is great.
So, for example, I've got 3 brands here, Cat Suites Demo, and my personal brand, my TW brand. So in my brand, I've got my logo, I've got my colors, I've got my favorite fonts for my brand, I've got a graphic, and I can now, as of today, also add templates that I design and express to my brand kit to use over and over again. I've also got character styles. So you have your brand to be able to pull from into any template or any blank page as you go. So you're still working on your internet.
Yep.
So so you can keep talking and I'll keep showing while you're
Well,
waiting
and
on yours.
what's going to be awesome too is that me and VJ can easily just go ahead and basically load in all the stuff we're going to be creating together. And like you said, I love how you can create a template. So
Yep.
at the end of the day here, when I'm done creating this content with him, this carousel post that we're going to be using is going to be a template that I can use at any point for any new episode that we're going to be accessing together. We're going to create a single graphic promo that we can use as well. And just like that, me and him can, he doesn't have to give me the file every single time. I can go ahead, pop in, and be able to access that, add what I want to change to it, just like that.
Yep. So I just created a new brand from scratch. I called it Adobe Live 2023. I can now upload my logos. By the way, I'm pointing out new things as of today as well. Your logo can now be as SVG format as well as JPEG, PNG, and AI that we've had before. So for example, if I go upload a logo, and I'm doing this on the fly because, you're back.
I am back. I do have some logos.
So he's back. I'm gonna switch back to him, but you can create a brand, and also in the new Express, if you already have a library, a Creative Cloud library that has all your stuff in it, you can convert that into a brand in Express. So you've already done the work. It's already in a Creative Cloud library. Just convert it into a brand, and away you go.
And just like that,
Yep.
right? We're popping in. So this is not just VJ's post anymore. It's the Personal Brand Buddies podcast episode. So we went through and added in a nice little element that'll apply to that, and I can go ahead and fix that to the carousel overall. Let's look at the rest of the slides. So as I go through most of the key message, because we're going to be working with it, this is something he might have posted previously, and we're reusing the topic. So just some slight updates that I'm going to make. But like I said, I love how everything is recognized as text. It's recognized as editable. Something very cool. I know this is a very small little underline here as an example, but because these are registered as an image file, right? Many people think, oh, well, you can't change the color though, but you actually can, which is neat. And that's why I love, you did put me on the spot asking me my favorite feature because there's too many for me to think about. Maybe we need to do that at the end as a little highlight.
Okay, I'll let you off the hook. Your favorite features.
But yes,
we'll put an S on the end of it. That way you can talk about more than one.
But we can go ahead and I can change these custom duotone effects, and I can make it match, there it is in that nice neon, right? So that's really cool just to see how easily that is to do. Even though this isn't like a shape or an icon, I can immediately go ahead and really have a lot of freedom to change these as well, which is great.
Yep.
We're gonna pop over now though, because again, this is VJ's post. So I wanna make it matching both of our brands, because that was our plan. We're collaborating together. So I like this, empower your individuality. That's a great tagline. But let's go ahead and put, for more on this topic, check out our new podcast, Personal Brand Buddies. And this is why I love the carousel posts. If you really, like I said, I've been saying it a lot, but if you can really take people on that journey, that swipeable experience, they're really previewing all your content, seeing everything you have. By the end of it, they're probably gonna click on what you want them to click on. They're gonna go ahead and act on that conversion that you really want. So that's what's awesome. And now I wanna add in my image to go with it. So let's go ahead, and what I'm gonna do now is, let's say VJ designed me a great profile picture. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and pop in that profile picture, and this is actually a Photoshop file that I'm gonna go ahead and put in. So that's gonna take a quick second. It has a transparent background.
So you just brought in just willy-nilly
just like that,
layered
right?
Photoshop file.
And now it is a linked asset. When it's ready, like it is just nice and transparent like I want it to be. I'm gonna go ahead and steal the little circle that VJ has behind his. Let's copy that, paste one for myself. Put him back, there we go. And yeah, that's what's awesome is I'm gonna show some fun stuff that I can use, especially, like I said, VJ's the guy who is doing the Photoshop. He's the expert on that. Well, it doesn't make me completely useless. There's some fun stuff that I can do with it as well. So let's go ahead and line that up.
Smart guys are helpful.
Yeah, exactly, right? I'm lining it up with his image, and that's what's awesome about it. But I know I'm not collaborating with him in real time, but I do love, and I've seen this used a lot today, which is super fun. Sometimes I just like it with myself to leave a log of what I'm creating, the kind of content that I want to remember, the notes that I want to go ahead and do. But let's say I leave a note for VJ and I say, Hey man, I love the profile picture, but it's a little smaller than yours, right? A little out of frame. And his has a black and gray filter, mine doesn't, right? And doesn't have the same filter. Anything you can help me out with that?
So this is you collaborating with him
right?
in Express, adding comments.
I'll go ahead and submit that. Like I said, didn't bring him in today, but he is at home in Toronto. But maybe he is seeing that. And he says, you know what, Lucas? I can help you with that super easily. And as you notice, like you mentioned, it's a linked asset. As soon as I clicked on that, I get this nice little unique option.
To edit in Photoshop.
Open in Photoshop. Yep. Let's go ahead and click on that. And what it's going to do, it's going to open up my Photoshop. We'll give it a split second. And then what it's doing is bringing in that profile picture. Here's the one we're working with. VJ, knowing that I probably need a little helping hand, he went ahead and he's going to go ahead and add it in. So there's the layer with the black and gray that I wanted. It's a little bit bigger. He's going to do this from his house. He's doing it from his computer. He's saving it. And usually this is super quick. Let me go ahead. Let's pop back. And it's already telling me that. It's already saying at the bottom there. So what everyone's seeing is your linked asset has changed. It sensed that VJ from his computer went ahead, saw my prompt here, and he said, yep, I can help Lucas with that. I'm going to go ahead and change up that profile picture. All I have to do, click update, and it's going to go ahead. And there it is right there.
Boom.
Right? And that's what I love about this. I can collaborate with him.
And that's really powerful, because what that means is you could go in and, like, Express, so you can create your template. You can, even if you didn't start with an Illustrator file, just create your document from scratch or use a template. But you need that little bit of extra help from a professional, like your profile picture.
Yep.
So they send you a PSD to place. You place it. It's linked. Anytime you need any changes to that PSD, they just update it, and it updates your Express
Super
document.
easy, right? And
And you didn't have to know anything about Photoshop. You didn't even have to own Photoshop to do that.
Just had to know the collab feature, right?
Right.
Exactly. And he's able to fill in that pipeline. And that's what makes us a team, right?
Yep.
We both bring our own strengths. We both bring our own needs to this. And that's what's awesome about these new features. I love what he did. I'm going to go ahead, resolve that, right? It's very cool. It's moved to the resolve folder. You can always go ahead and take a look at what's been said. But this is really coming together. Let's go ahead and add our branding elements. These are the ones that he put together for me. I do want to really just remind them that it is both of ours at the end. And there we go. So we're looking at a pretty complete carousel. All right, it is going through the topic that this podcast episode we're going to be having would have 6 secret strategies that guarantee success when connecting with people. Picked up on his topic, picked up on his look and feel. Has my elements as well. Nope, I wanted to put my website under here. And it really just does bring it all together. So we can collaborate and have a post that, again, is going to lead both our audiences to the same goal. And I think not only in design and in all these tools, being able to collaborate on social media in general has been a really big push from what I've been finding. All the platforms are letting you be able to post to two different feeds, right? So this can show up on VJ's feed and my own, which is awesome.
So here's a question. I know someone's thinking it even though they haven't asked it.
Fair.
I don't have a friend who's great at Illustrator. Could I have created this carousel from scratch, just in Express?
Yes, and that's what I love too, is there are so many great multiple page templates. I love the quality of them too. They really do know, you can tell from looking through these templates, right, that they understand. Let's say we go to Instagram square post, right? You can go ahead and type in carousel, right? And if some of these are multiple pages, you can actually swipe through and see them. Sometimes I even like the cover to just be that first post I start with, right? And then, as you can see, I'm really just keeping the text as the core, and then a nice, simple call to action slide.
And that's an important point. Even if it wasn't a multi-page template, let's say you just found a great looking template that's only one page. You can either duplicate that template across multiple pages and change what you need, or just add more pages.
Yep.
And make it a carousel like this.
Here's a great one, right? Like serums for combination skin, for example.
Yep.
Right? Someone's in the skincare niche. This could be an awesome cover page, right? They can go ahead, work with it. I won't add it just because, I can start a new project with it actually, and we can pop back. But they could go ahead and add this. Sure, it's one slide, but something I love to do, duplicate it. We're probably not going to have an image here, but maybe you're putting in your serum there.
Right.
Loading in, maybe your brand kit is fresh loaded with the images you want to use, right? Pop it in there, find a nice secondary font maybe, right? Go ahead, let's have serum number 1. Set it up,
I can
right?
tell you used this before. You're pretty quick with it.
There goes my website. I'm quick with it's funny because I'm new to the MacBook world, so I'm still learning the MacBook key commands. But let's go ahead. Right?
You're working at like
Serum number
so
1.
This is great.
I don't know what they would want to put. That's not my forte. But they could easily just put that serum there, put the image, and then go ahead and duplicate.
Duplicate page again?
Duplicate.
So until you get to 10 pages for Instagram at least, you can, again, start with 1 page.
And go ahead from
whether
there.
you design it or whether you use a template. And just keep duplicating it and changing on each page what you want, adding graphics, adding text, changing the text until you get your 10-page carousel, even if you didn't have that great designer friend using Illustrator.
Change the background, make it your own if you're worried about it looking too much like the template. I love templates, even if just for inspiration, right? What to play with.
And I just want to also be very clear, like how you change the blue. Sometimes we get locked into the mentality that, oh, it's a template. It's got the squiggly thing on it that's pink. I got to keep that because it's on the template. No, you don't. Change a different color. Get rid of it.
Yep.
Add something different. Like the template is there for inspiration. There are no template police that are going to come to your desk and say, we saw you change that font. That's not allowed. Change anything you want.
Anyone who wants to play around with Express too, my favorite little personal challenge I do is I design a fake brand a day. So here's a smoothie company that I'm going to go ahead and design, right? Here, let me see some content pillars that I could use for a smoothie company and what it would be a good starting point for them. How would I make a reel for them using some templates?
That's a cool challenge.
It's a fun way to manipulate those templates and learn from them and push your limits. One thing I could really do, because one thing we're going to go ahead and do is we want to share this. So again, there's options. I know I mentioned that I could have had VJ as a collaborator if he were right here with us, or from home even. I think he's working right now. I can publish it to the web, which is great. This is awesome if maybe you are working for a client and you want to show them it for approval, but you maybe don't trust them as much and you don't know what they're going to be clicking around on, right? And deleting things here and there that you want to keep. So you can just share it as a publishable, just video, a viewable file that they can take a look at.
Absolutely.
Right, with that link. I'm going to go ahead though, and we're going to schedule that because we want to share it to Instagram. So I have my Instagram posted. I'm going to go ahead and schedule it. And again, you can go ahead and put it in a few different ways. If you want to add in the different files, that's super easy to do as well. They're all on the desktop.
Okay, and I see a comment there. Bliss Station is saying, I can't find now my duplicate pages because, again, sometimes things change from the beta, from the previous version to the release version. So let me show you real quick. If you switch to me, I can show you how you would duplicate pages. All right, so I just created a single page. I just grabbed a single page template. There's only one page in this. If I want to now duplicate this page, one way to do this is up here in the upper right-hand corner is your pages icon. Of course, if I say view all pages, there's only one. But then you'll notice up here in the upper left-hand corner, that's your duplicate page icon. So if I say duplicate, 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 I can make as many pages of this as I want. And I can then go in and double click on any one page and change anything about it. So if I didn't want to say vacation, I didn't want that photo, I can take that photo away, and if I go back to my pages or just go left and right here, there's the original page, there's the next page. I took vacation, took the photo off. I can change this to, instead of on, off, for whatever reason, just to make it the opposite, and I can keep going. So I have all the pages I want. I can move stuff around, change stuff, do whatever I want on each page once I've duplicated. While I'm at it and while I've got the screen up now, I just want to point out one of my favorite features is the resize button. So for example, we go back to the pages. These 4 pages are all the same size, which is great. But let's say I need a page to be like, maybe this page is for Facebook, this page is going to be for Instagram, this page is going to be for a YouTube thumbnail, whatever. You can go in and resize any page or any multiple pages to whatever you need them to be. So if I need to resize this into an Instagram reel or story, then I just hit resize, and it will resize it to that size. I don't have to be a social media expert and know every single platform and every single size on every platform. The great folks on the Express team have already done that for me, and there are literally dozens, if not hundreds of different sizes for you to choose from. Now, let's say you go in and you want to resize this into multiple sizes. Let's go to the next page. Let's say I want to resize that one into, hit resize again. I want to not only make a, there's an Instagram carousel, by the way. I can make it, this is a YouTube video, I can make it a flyer, I can make it a YouTube thumbnail. So 3 different sizes. You'll notice now the button says duplicate and resize. So that will take that page and duplicate it and resize it into all of those sizes for me. So again, this is great. That's my favorite feature, the resize. Okay.
And what I love about this is what we have this is the best thing for me in building campaigns. And you want to be on multiple social media platforms today. It's kind of the way to show up, right? You can view it all in one project. You have all these different size designs. You have a YouTube thumbnail. You can have a video. You can have a PDF, right? You can have everything all in the same view, which is amazing. You don't have tons of tabs open.
And every page is, even though it's been resized, you can massage the content to fit that size better. So resize, definitely my favorite feature. All right, back to you.
Let me pop back to my schedule. I think I will say I am, unfortunately, vacation mood off might be me soon. I am going back to the classroom in a few weeks, so I'll enjoy it while I can. While Terry was just showing us that, what I did was I just typed in a nice caption to schedule this post. You can see it's linked to my Instagram account. That's not the only platform you have. You can also schedule it to multiple platforms, which is awesome. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn. Like I said, if I were to just make this a PDF file, right, export as that instead, this would probably do really well on LinkedIn, all the same, which is great, right? So
and where do they get to the scheduler? Because it moved?
Oh, sorry. So just share up here in the corner. So I clicked on it, but just you can do it from the home page, and I'll show that when we pop into our next project. But just clicking share up here will bring up this prompt that allowed me to share it to Instagram.
So wait, let me get this straight. I want this to go live on Instagram tomorrow.
Let's do it. Let's go ahead.
All I'd have to do is connect my social media accounts. Then I hit the scheduler. I can go to each one of my accounts and schedule a post, schedule the same post, schedule multiple posts for different days, different times, and Express will post that content on my behalf.
It will post it. You can be asleep. That's my favorite thing to do, even though maybe not the best practice because I do like to be engaging with my audience.
Or you could be at work. You could be teaching.
But I could be on the go.
While that's posting on your behalf.
And, we all have those days where staying consistent on social media, best way to grow in my opinion, but it's hard, right? When you plan to just create every single day and then wake up and post it or create then post it, you have bad days, right? Things get in the way. It prevents you from doing it. So what I like to do, I set aside a Saturday afternoon, 3 hours all in. I write my content. I design my content. I schedule my content. And I know no matter what happens with those school kids, a busy week, I know that my posts are going to go live, which is awesome. So I can show up for my audience. Has some great features too. Instagram, you can only have 30 hashtags. And as I was entering hashtags, right? Hashtag business podcast, hashtag personal branding, hashtag social media tips. Make sure I spell that right. It is actually counting down the character limit and the hashtag limit. And some people might think, oh, whatever, I don't need that. But one thing that not many people know, if you go over the 30 hashtag limit on Instagram, it will not post your caption. It'll just delete it altogether.
Really?
Yeah, and so all this context I gave to go with the post is gone. So I love that it actually counts them out for me, so I can make sure I'm actually going ahead and meeting that proper amount or not going over that threshold.
Not going over, that's the key.
So I'm gonna go ahead, it is scheduled, there it is, and I can see, got my post right there, highlight over it, shows me what it looks like, it's ready to go on Instagram. I can add new posts for the same day. I can look at the week, and there it is. And this weekend, I'll probably be sitting down and filling that out.
While you're doing that, I'm busy over here reconnecting my social media accounts to like different groups I'm in, different things I'm in.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm reconnecting back to the schedule so I can get my scheduler going as well.
Sounds great. What I'm going to do next is, I did mention, and we've been talking a lot about working from templates. So what I do want to do is, I do want to create, carousels are great, but something we highlighted, and I loved how Terry showed that multiple size project window, right? He had all different content
Which
formats.
is just the pages.
It's just the pages, right?
Pages view.
Yeah, so just being able to see, I know I only have one right here, but when we had that carousel, I was able to see all 10. You're able to show up on so many platforms, right? But I always say it's important to know the nuances of the different content formats available. So that was a carousel. Maybe my audience doesn't want to give me the time it takes to swipe through a carousel. I won't hold them to it. But I'm going to show how to make a quick little promo post that can also go single. It can go on stories. We're going to use resize a little bit.
Great.
But let's go ahead and work with that.
Love resize. Love it, love it, love it.
Yo, it's awesome. And using the templates here, because that was fresh from an Illustrator template, let's show how I do the exact same thing. And I'm seeing people are loving the calendar. I love the calendar. There's nothing better than a filled out social media content calendar.
Right?
Like just huge weight off your chest. Love to, and I love how it shows the little icon of the post too. So it's not just text, I can actually see it, which is great to see. But I'm gonna show, we talked about templates, and I don't want people to feel overwhelmed being like, well, what do I search? What prompt do I use? I'm gonna promote my podcast, and the template I used is actually just for a clearance sale. This doesn't match my brand elements, but I'm gonna show, we have enough time, we can get into it. I'm gonna show how easy it is to make it match me and VJ's brand that we designed together for this podcast. So let's go ahead and working with the text. I won't be using this image, but let's go ahead and just do some quick swaps, changing the background color. Like we mentioned, my whole color palette here is fully loaded for our podcast. We got these nice vibrant hues that we're going with. So let's go ahead and make those pop. We're gonna make the background black.
Clearance sale.
There we go, new podcast. And again, this was for, this is for a clearance sale. This is for a clearance sale.
And that's the other thing too. Just don't get locked into, oh, it's a template for a garage sale. I really need it for a beach party. Well, if you like the way it looks, change garage sale.
Use it
to
right?
beach party and change it to what you want.
And I'm going to show just like I'm keeping it as to the content as I can, right? This was clearance sale. I liked where it was placed. It was designed by a professional, right? The actual template looks great, so I'm not gonna reinvent the wheel. I'm not gonna change things. Or if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's the saying I think I was looking for. Let's go ahead. This is our episode 1. This is our launch episode. Make that a little bit smaller. Some things I mentioned that I love about the duotone. So this is an image, right? This isn't a shape or an icon, but that doesn't prevent me from changing the color, which is awesome. I can go ahead, and normally on an image you'd be stuck with, you could apply a filter or two, right? But this is actually gonna allow me to do it, which is awesome.
And is that doing that via tint or dual tone or
yes,
something?
so that is using the duotone effects. So if I just click on any image element, you go ahead and effects will be right here. It already had one applied, but I'm gonna go ahead and change it to be our own, which is gonna match our brand colors. So if I find if I want it to be just true, that one color, you can work with the shadows, you could work with the highlights, but I'm gonna go ahead and just make it our nice solid neon green. We're using this nice color in our branding. Might as well make it pop, make the most of it. There we go. Can't grab a podcast episode, so we're gonna change this to listen now. But I'm using all the stuff that was already placed for me, right? I don't have to spend a lot of time on perfectly aligning or adding my new text boxes, thinking about where it's gonna look. We're gonna push them to, check us out on Spotify or Apple Music.
Nice.
Him and I were talking about it. We're like, you know what? After you do this project, Lucas, because he allowed me to use his content, right? And he said, I think we should actually get talking about making this a real thing. So,
yeah.
VJ, thank you if you're out there listening. I'm gonna change it up just because I want to be able to add our logo, right? No 50% discounts on any podcasts here. And here I am just, again.
Brings a whole new meaning to the word monetization.
So this one is an example. This is a shape. So this one I don't have to apply the duotones. It's super easy for me to just actually use and apply our brand colors. Let's go ahead and pop in the purple that we want. And there's those guides again, those grids for me to do that. There we go. Group those two guys together. And I'm grouping them because I'm gonna animate them in a little bit. Maybe not for this post, but again, you talked about resize. We're gonna once this is done, we're gonna turn it into an Instagram story with the click of a button, which is awesome because that's another way to show up for our audience and really just push out our content for them. So here I am using the duotones again. I'm really just loving this green. Probably too much, but it pops. It's our brand.
And one thing I'll point out, you know, with resize, one of the things that makes your resize more successful than not is making sure you've got the background element, whatever it is, a box, a color, a picture, whatever the background is, there's an option that says attach to background.
Oh, love it, yes.
If you do that, it'll resize your background accordingly for every size that you pick. So that's just a key feature of resize.
I did mention someone asked about, they said, hey, are you going to show off remove background? Someone in the chat a little while ago, and we are. So the awesome thing is, and again, I have these in Express because these are the things VJ trusted me to work with. He gave me his picture right there. We're going to actually make this about us, social media, keep social media social. We had that nice word-based, text-based carousel. Got to the meat and potatoes of what the episode was about. But, you know, there's two humans. It's a personal brand podcast. We should probably embrace that a little bit.
Probably.
So I'm going to go ahead and pop in 2 pictures of VJ and I. We didn't take these photos together, so we are in 2 different settings, but that's completely okay. And someone asking about how we can remove the background. So any of these photos, I'm just gonna go ahead, let's go with VJ first. I'm clicking on them, and right here on the left, remove background. Super easy. I won't make VJ the background of this post, but here is that set as page background button that Terry was mentioning. Let's go ahead and make that disappear from behind VJ. So we can actually, there he is. He's hovering right there. He's in the net. I don't know if you ever, there was a show called Reboot back in the day that I used to watch, and it took place as like one of the first CGI shows. That's what he looks like he's in.
And if you missed it from the last hour that I was on, I also showed now in Express as of today, there's remove background for video.
That is very cool.
So if you have a subject where the background is just, you know, you want to basically make the video transparent on top of something, you like the person walking by or whatever, you can remove the background of the video and put that in Express.
And there we are. So now, 2 people took photos in very different places, right? Let's go ahead and make us the same size. There we go. We're popping us together. And again, I know, you know what? I think I'm probably gonna go with the duotones by the end of this because I'm loving the duotones. I think I've mentioned them a lot. But let's go ahead and just make it so we're both in black and grayscale, just so we kind of fit in a little bit more. I really do want the branding of the content to shine a little bit more and stand out.
And even though you have like his picture's a little darker than yours, you could, if you didn't know Photoshop, you can still go in and make adjustments right here in Express.
Yeah.
To brighten that photo up a little bit.
And likewise too, just like we showed off earlier on with my profile picture, these could have easily been Photoshop files that VJ could be manipulating on his end and changing. And like we said, make it a linked asset. I have these uploaded as photos, but make it a linked asset and you can work with it just like that, which is awesome to see. I'm gonna go ahead and pop it back right there. Something else that's very cool that I've been loving as a new feature is this layer window on the right side. I don't think we've mentioned that yet, but the great thing is sometimes when you get when it becomes busy, right? The project has a lot going on. You want to make sure you're just clicking on the right thing. So I want to go ahead and get this graphic, right? Or maybe this one because it's behind VJ. But normally it'd be hard for me to click. I don't want to click on him.
Right.
I can go ahead and just click through this layer bar right here, and I can immediately find anything instead of me having to just move stuff around and alter the design that I've already done, which is great to see. So I love doing that. Let's go ahead.
We got a question from the chat. I'm gonna, while you work on that,
yeah, sounds great.
Build an example where I can show how to do it.
And again, that logo file's right there, so we can pop it in. This is not a clearance sale, even though we did use the clearance sale template. So we're gonna put our logo on this shape right here, on this nice star. And again, I'm using the template. I'm not swaying too far from it. You absolutely could. I think I was doing an Adobe Live last week where I was building out a full brand campaign, all in Express. And I started with the template, and one of the projects I did, I almost used the template to a T, right? All I really did was add in my context, add in my colors, my fonts, a little bit more like I did here. On that note too, I could have also just changed the fonts, right? So I do have me and VJ's fonts saved here. If I didn't like this one and I want it to match our brand, that's saved in our brand kit as well, which is awesome to see. We got podcasts, personal brand buddies. But one of the projects I was doing, I started the template and I just was feeling motivated, right? I was feeling creative. By the end of it, it was like completely different from the starting template, right? And that's completely fine, is what I want to highlight. It was the good starting point I needed. It helped me get inspired as opposed to just, a blank white screen. And it really got me going with that. So that's the fun thing too, is when you design a few different things, you get working with different content formats, you never know what it's going to look like by the end of it.
Right.
I'm going to group these together. The great thing about this is I can go ahead and, because these are all grouped, so what I did, I just highlighted them, click on them, shift to click on another. So I got me and VJ grouped together. Now we did take our photos together after all. Look at that. We can now animate them, which is really cool. But to highlight the animation, because I do want this to be a static graphic, yes, I could do something cool, like click on it and have it slide in, because you can't, something new on Instagram is you can post single image videos, and you can also add music to them in Instagram, which is really cool. You can also add music in Adobe Express. I'll be showing that in our video session later on. But if I do want to...
Did you say there's a video section coming up?
There is a video section coming on.
When is that?
That is at 2 or 3 p.m. So
Okay,
I actually don't.
Later today.
That is later today. I believe the schedule will be running, and I should probably know my schedule a little bit better.
I don't know mine, so it's okay.
Perfect. That makes me feel better.
All right. If we switch to mine real quick, I'll show an answer to a question, and someone's asking a question about borders. So I just added a border to this template. It's not as like one clickable as you would think it should be. Like you can add outlines to text now. You can add shapes to text. You can do a lot of that one-click stuff with text. But when it comes to a graphic, one of the ways to add a border is to simply add a shape. So I'm going to get rid of mine, show you how I built it from scratch. I went down here let me just get out of this. So I started with this template, which is the background is a graphic, or the graphic is the background, I should say. And so this is what I meant by that feature that allows you to attach the page to background attach the element to the background for resize. So that element has already been attached. But if I wanted to now have a border around that, I can't just click on it and add a border because it is the background. So what I did was go to Elements. I found a square. I know that's a square because it's the next one over. And here's one that's filled in. Here's one that's not. So I'll grab the one that's not filled in with black, even though it is filled in with a color. We'll go ahead and put that in place. We'll go ahead and scale that out. And we'll simply make a couple changes to it. First of all, it's to say that the fill is nothing. There we go. And that way, then I can make the border whatever color I want. I just made it white so you can easily see it. And then I can also control the thickness of it. So if I wanted it thicker, thinner, however I want it to look. Oh, that's a little too thin, a little too thick. What about there? So that is one way. Of course, I'm off a little bit on this side. Let's pull that in a little bit. There we go.
There's those lines.
There's a border.
Love it.
So that's one way to do it. For those of you who like borders in this way, this one is the one that gives you the most control because you can literally control every aspect of it.
And
all right.
While Terry was walking us through that, because that's how easy it is too, I went ahead and added a border too. I did the exact same way.
There you go.
And I love how you can, I think the real game changer for borders, like you said, is being able to make that fill transparent, right?
Yeah.
Being able to remove that. And I love how the dotted or like the crossed lines is really nice too. Probably maybe this one matches our vibe that VJ and I are going for.
You gave me an idea. I'm going to work on it while you finish. But
Sounds
you gave
good.
me an idea.
I like it.
Because you said vibe, and I like that.
Awesome.
All right, so I'm gonna take that. I'm going to take that creative direction.
Sweet. I like it. Looking forward to seeing what comes from
And
it.
I'm going to show you something here.
If people are asking too, you can always go, if you do want to, like Terry said, shape really is going to give you the most freedom in how you can manipulate it, change it, alter the colors. Sometimes design assets do have some cool ones, right, where you can actually just see what's going on here. Maybe it's a corner, right? Maybe I want to go ahead and add like a nice green grass border. Probably not on brand for the more textile we're going through here. But you can absolutely do that too. And like I said, let's play with the leaves, why not? Just because it is an image, it doesn't mean you can't change the color. And that's become my unexpected highlight that I really like sharing today, actually, because that was something that I found really cool while working on this content.
Nice.
Was just because it's an image, I can absolutely make it match really our brand color, make it go with what I want, right? I can add some shadows, so it's got that tinge, it's got that purple to it, and that actually ends up being pretty cool from there. So that's another option too. You can go into design assets. There's even some pre-made borders too if you want something a little bit more simple. like these guys here. And as you drag them, they actually go up and down, which is awesome. This is great for making borders too, having the corner pieces. So that's another option you can do.
Nice.
What we're going to be doing right here, though, is I'm going to go ahead and resize this into, and yeah, let's keep the border on there. I want this to be a story because, again, you can post to your main feed. You can encourage people to click your link in bio or whatnot. But I do find some of the best ways that I really do convert my audience is by sharing it to my story. So they can actually tap that sticker. Anyone who has a business account or creator account on Instagram can add a sticker to their stories that links to something. And as long as you don't abuse it and make every single story post you share, click my link, click my link, click my link, right? you gotta nurture that audience a little bit, right? Share some value too, is what I always say. It is a great thing to do. So let's go ahead and use that resize. I'm gonna just remove this animation for a second because I'm gonna play around with a few more options I have for a story. And like we said, we're gonna go to resize. I have all my options here. I could make this a carousel, like we said. I could make this a YouTube video thumbnail. And maybe we would be repurposing those YouTube videos over like the footage or the actual recording of us talking and recording in the studio. It'd be nice if we had a nice studio like this to access all the time. But maybe we are sharing that as a YouTube video. And I can go ahead and repurpose that or resize that too. But we are making this an Instagram story. I'm gonna click duplicate and resize because I do wanna keep this graphic that I did share. It's gonna live on my main feed while the story is gonna live on my stories. So let's go ahead and do that. There's that project window right there again. And it's super easy to just change around, extend my border, making it right at home with the format. Maybe I liked this, this thickness of border a little bit better on the single image graphic that was a square. Well, it's super easy for me to almost make it non-existent, but that'd be a cool video effect actually if I could do something like that. That's really neat.
Wow.
I like that, but I don't want to give anybody a headache.
Yeah, give the animation team a look at that and see if they can do it. They probably didn't do that on purpose.
But I'm going to go ahead and group any of the elements that I want flying in together. Like I said, I could use that layer bar on the right if I was having trouble clicking anything. But we want to make sure it matches the nuances of this new content format. People are liking the border options in the chat. I like the border options too. But let's go ahead and make VJ and I actually match the size. We should for a story. But like we said, it's just super easy to have the content change to the right size. And from there, I'm just doing some small adjustments so it makes sense for the format because I don't want us squished on a story. I want it vertical right in my audience's face. And that's actually why I'm going to use this to apply some animations. So let's go all over the place. Let's have some fun with animations because that's what Instagram stories are all about. Let's have personal brand buddies, the actual, and we got a few minutes to play with this, so that's good. Let's see what we can do with it. Let's have personal brand buddies fly in. I like tumble. Tumble's good. Let's have it tumble in. There we go. Let's have the new podcast title also come in. Let's move us down a bit. Me and VJ are in the way. Group these guys together. And again, if you want to group multiple elements, all you do is, if you want to animate multiple elements together, you just group them, right? So as I'm doing, I'm just holding Shift and I'm clicking each one, and that allows me to put them really as a core unit to do whatever I want with it. New podcast episode. There we go. Let's see what we're dealing with right now. Right from the start. There we go. New podcast. And we got a little bit of time. Let's add, I like when stories have that podcast play icon in the middle. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, maybe VJ has those designed for me in Illustrator, and that's awesome for me to do. Maybe he forgot or he hasn't gotten it to it yet. Right?
And if he did design them, he could put them in a library and share that library with you, and it'd be accessible
and I'm able to use
Express.
it right from there.
You drag anything out of that library onto your Express page.
But let's say he didn't. I can go ahead. I'm going to use a template. I'm going to use just a piece of a template onto our story that we're designing. Cool. So I went on templates, and I typed play button, because that's what I'm looking for on our podcast. I like this one. This one's pretty good looking. Our podcast doesn't take place on a beach. Doesn't mean we can't use it. All right, so let's go ahead, add it as a page.
So it doesn't replace your existing one.
Doesn't remove anything. I could have made a new project, but I am going to be playing with this for a while, right? So I'm going to go ahead and let's use it right here. Let's play with it on here before we do move it over. This is, I like now playing. This is something that I can easily, as a shape, I can actually just change that shape fill button right away. So I'm not trying to zoom in my screen and click on that shape just to make it work. It's actually one of the really cool dynamic effects that we can use. So I can go ahead, or the dynamic text layout. I can add a shape behind it. So it's that play button. This is all about 6 steps to connect with people. That's our podcast episode. While it's here, I could have worked on it on my other slide, but I think it's getting a little bit busy. So I'm going to go ahead and work with it here. Group it. I'm going to do Command C, copy it over. Oh, I still have my old thing copied. There we go. Still learning the MacBook commands. There we go. And there it is right there. So if I want to say, hey, people, there's a new podcast playing right now.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Click the play.
Yeah, let's go ahead. And one thing I want to share really quick, too, is these are all intros, right? I have it popping in. The second it's in their face, they're seeing it. Maybe I want it to last for longer, which is great because you have... Actually, Instagram just made it so you can have up to 60 seconds for a story. It used to do chunks of 15 seconds, but they just made it 60. So maybe I wanted to go longer.
The one platform I wish they would increase... YouTube Shorts are still 60 seconds.
I agree. I have actually...
Jesus, TikTok, Instagram, everybody's longer than 60 seconds except YouTube.
I want to repurpose a lot of my TikTok content like I do. I had a video gaming channel, and they're all like 3 minutes long.
Right.
I can't do it.
Or 2 minutes, or a minute and 30 seconds.
A minute and 1 second.
Yeah, it just won't fit on YouTube.
One little differentiating factor I like to do is here. So these were all, like I said, these were intros. Looping is really fun too.
Mm-hmm.
So I make a lot of my teacher slideshows that I teach maybe if we have time, I'll quickly show those, that I like to do with my class. And I like to have messages just kind of like wiggling or pulsing, like the key topic, right, about what they're learning in that lesson. So let's go ahead and make this one wiggle. And it's cool, you can make it wiggle super fast, super intense. And that's just, so even after the elements come in, that is still just wiggling. It's an Instagram story. I want to direct people to it, so maybe I'm just putting the link in bio, the link sticker right there, so they can actually tap on it and be taken right to that content. But there's 3 pieces of content incorporating what VJ can bring from Adobe Illustrator, some things that I was able to quickly change or he was able to quickly change in Photoshop. We could even do that, like if our logo was a linked Photoshop file, he can make quick changes and it would automatically update, which is awesome.
So a couple questions. One question. Robert asked, when will this be available for commercial use? Express is available for commercial use today. So everything you've seen today is available for commercial use. The only thing that would be part of that question, Firefly content is not available yet for commercial use. So, but everything, you haven't done anything. You haven't generated anything, right?
No, we haven't
so
used.
Everything you've seen today is
Everything
available for commercial use.
Yeah, and that's what's awesome about it too. So we could be using this. Before we did go, so this is a fictional podcast.
Yeah.
But I did want to share In the Making, which is a podcast by Teresa Au, which is awesome. So this is an Adobe podcast. So if you were saying, you're in the podcast mood from seeing me talk about how to promote a podcast for the last hour. Personal Brand Buddies is completely made up. Me and VJ don't have a podcast. But this is one you can definitely check out. It's really good. I think it's on its 3rd or 4th episode. I've really loved listening to it, just hearing the insights from so many creative people.
Absolutely.
As you can see, right? Instagram influencers, small local businesses, people everywhere all harnessing the creative tools they need. And she really does chat with the people who are going to explore that journey. So I think that's going to be in the chat. People can take a look at that.
All right, I got one thing quick before you can queue up your next thing. So I'm going to switch over to me, and on this one, I want to just show, since we got into the border thing and you inspired me with the 2-guy podcast thing, one thing we see a lot of on social media, like for example, I'll bring this stock photo in, and I'll remove the background. Actually, you know what? I don't want this one because he's got a white shirt on. I just want to show something that's a little bit more contrasty. How about this guy? All right, no white shirt. Okay, so let's make him bigger. And drop him down. And remove background. Okay, so we've seen that before. That's pretty cool. I love the fact that it can remove the background. But what you typically see a lot of on social media, especially YouTube thumbnails, podcast thumbnails, things like that. Let me duplicate him. So by the right click, now available as of today, duplicate. And I'm going to take the one in the back. So there's 2, one on top of the other. I'm going to take the one behind. And I'm going to go to my effects, and I'm going to do dual tone. And in the dual tone, I'm going to switch the colors to white and white. So basically just making him solid white. And now I'm just going to make them a little bigger and move it down a little bit so that you get that white outline
That's
behind
awesome.
people.
Seeing that come up, I was like,
Right.
I think I know what he's doing. That looks awesome.
Yeah. So group them together, and then you can resize it, move it around, so forth and so on. So we're actually out of time. So
Having too much fun.
Right, too much fun. So borders can be around people too, just faking it with a dual tone. All right, folks, hopefully you got something out of this. Stay tuned. In 5 minutes, we're going to do more content. And when I say we, I don't mean me. I mean, Paul looks like he's standing behind the camera there. And you're going to have more content on Express coming up all day. So with that said, I'll be back later this afternoon. You're going to be back later this afternoon too, right? All right. So we'll be back later this afternoon if you want to see more of us. But stay tuned for more Adobe Express content. Cheers. See you in 5 minutes.
Thanks, everybody.